You and I should both get a little pop-up there. You got your pop-up?
Meeting is being something. Yes.
Good. Say yes.
Are
Okay, perfect. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday Mind Reset. This is your friendly reminder that our mind is set, so we don't want to waste our time, energy, money, focus on mindset. What we want to do is channel all of that into resetting our mind. And I am featuring Gillian Drader out of BC this morning. And we were just chatting before coming on live as usual, and we're having a really great conversation. So we're going to bring that conversation into the Unblock Academy Facebook group as I feature Gillian live this morning. Good morning, Gillian.
Good morning, Crystal. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to keep our conversation going. Could feel
Yes,
like
thank
for
you very
hours.
much. Yes, thank you so much. Well, let's just dive right into it because I know there's so much that we want to cover and share with everybody, and then also celebrate you. And we'll get more into the celebration in a little bit, but share with us a little bit just to give us an idea of, where were you in your life, in your results, in your mind, all those things, before you and I connected. What were you looking for and where were you at?
Yeah, thanks, Crystal. I would say, it was such an interesting evolution of how I got to TIR and you. And I have been, having a measure of success for 25 plus years. I'm a business person, therapist, worked with people, and it's all been great. But I had this sense that there's more. I knew there was more. And I just kept seeing this cycle of, yeah, every year. And I think it was actually January, mutual friend of ours who's also doing some of this work. And just like, oh, am I going to be here again next year? Like doing the whole beginning of the year. I want more and I'm not clear. I didn't feel clear, some stuck patterns. So just feeling discontent, just dissatisfaction and wanting to make shifts, but feeling stuck, knowing that I wanted to do new things, but just couldn't seem to pivot all those old messages, the shoulds, the coulds, the woulds. And it was time for something new. And yeah, just was ready for a change, but didn't really know how to get there.
Yeah.
Everything I'd been trying was not really making a big enough difference, like old patterns of not following through, self-sabotage, all the paradigms that I'm learning more about here,
Mhm.
just kept getting me stuck. I was just stuck. I think
Yeah.
that's the word that I probably said 14 times now. I'm stuck.
But so like I can relate to that. Every single person being honest with themselves is going to be able to relate to that because we all have a limit or a box or a ceiling or whatever, which is called our paradigm, our limiting beliefs. And, we're not going to go into that today, but you just described it so well. Like you knew you wanted to do more, be more, have more new things, better things, break the patterns. You didn't know how. You knew you needed change, but you didn't know how. And so naturally, it's just like stuck. And all we know is to just try harder, do more,
Yeah.
maybe read another book or something like that. And
Yeah.
then I think that we all come to this one day somewhere in our life, if we're lucky,
Yeah.
and we say, wait a second, like
Mhm.
I'm missing something.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think to add to that, Crystal, I love how you're bringing that together. I think I did have a sense of like the how. Like there were lots of hows that I'd tried. I'd done other strategies and day planners and, lots of great things. Like there's some amazing resources out there, but I just kept getting it's in the same place all the time. So it also wasn't even so much about the how. Like I think I could have figured out the how. It was so much deeper. And I think that's where I didn't have language. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. Like I couldn't articulate this more inward, vibrational discomfort, angsty activation almost. That sounds a bit weird, but that's what it felt like. I can't find words because it wasn't up here. It was
Yeah.
here.
Exactly. And I think, you bring up a really good point because there's the how is out there. We've all come across the how and the different methods and methodologies and ideas. And we go, but it didn't work for me.
Mhm.
And it's true. Then we get very frustrated and we think there's something wrong with us and we're just not cut out for bigger, better, more, and all the self-sabotaging just continues. But you're absolutely right. So the question is really becomes, well, then why haven't I changed? Right?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
that maybe is the better question instead of how is why haven't I changed? So you started to change, and we call it immediate impact. It happens very early on. So we started working together and you enrolled in Thinking into Results. That was in January.
Mhm.
Was that right?
I think so. I can't remember
Okay.
now. It's like a long time ago.
So a few months anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your either your most memorable, your biggest, or maybe your first win, aha moment realization? Like when did the light bulb really go off for you? What was it?
You know, I was thinking about that this morning. I was getting ready to be with you, and it might be a curious thing to have bring this up, but it was actually the moment where I had probably one of my biggest successes in the business that I've been currently involved with. And instead of being elated and super excited, I hit a wall. I was like disoriented, I was panicky, I was anxious, I was like upset. I'm like, what? What is
Wow.
going on? And of course, through unpacking that with you and sitting with it and trying to understand, what I came to realize is that, yes, of course I was, because I was in a new place. I'd broken through a ceiling. I'd accomplished something I'd never done before, no matter how many other times I'd tried something similar. And I did not know what to do with myself. And everything in me, my body, my nervous system, my emotions, my head was literally physically spinning. And I'm in tears. And I'm like, um, I don't understand. So I think my biggest aha was that moment, and I've had more since. And but now I have this context to say, no, there isn't something wrong. It's like actually everything is really right. But those paradigms and old ways of being are like they got their teeth in, and they're like, nope, I'm not gonna let go. I'm not gonna go quietly.
Yeah.
um, that was a massive awareness of understanding and seeing then in the past where I've maybe come close to that and bolted.
Yeah.
And so then no wonder I wasn't making moves, but that was a huge day. And you probably remember that
So
day. It's
good.
like, Crystal, help me,
Yeah.
I'm a mess. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'm happy right now. And I'm a train wreck. So huge realizations, and had another one even just this last week of like, what is going on right now? Oh yeah, that thing. I'm in a new vibration. I'm in a new level. I'm in a new place. I don't know the landscape.
That's right.
I don't know
No.
my directions up here. I feel
Hmm.
lost. So, but this has been amazing because I've been able to stay with it now. Like if I'd have tried to do this also, so I'm segueing a little bit, but it speaks to the power of this work in having you and the community, because I can plug in and go, help, drowning over here.
Mhm.
Otherwise, in the past, I'd have been out. I'd have been
Yeah.
nice with me.
It's uncomfortable,
Uh,
right?
yeah,
And as soon as something's uncomfortable or doesn't feel natural, we think it's bad and we run from it and we go back to bondage, back to prison, back to the self-imposed prison.
yeah,
And we'll try something different and the same thing happens. And you're absolutely right. You're in unknown territory
yeah.
and it can feel really uncomfortable. Like success is not a comfortable process. It is not.
No, and it's not smooth. It is not a
No.
smooth process at all.
And
And
it's it's interesting because it's not smooth, but all of that is internal. All of that is psychological. Nothing is
uh,
happening to us to cause that amount of angst. It's all
right.
trauma is psychological.
And I think that speaks to
Mhm.
our last point around, if it was just about a step-by-step how to, it
Yeah,
would be a linear process. We do the steps.
right.
It isn't. It's so
Yeah.
much more about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not linear. If anything, this is rather new verbiage to me, but into another timeline, which does make sense because it captures the increase of vibration and frequency better than a step by step, how to.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
But
Mhm.
this really speaks, Gillian, again to the fact that, Bob said it so many times, and I say it so many times, understanding is our key to freedom, because as soon as you were able to understand yourself,
Mhm.
It all made sense. And you were able to move, like you achieve the success, the joy, the growth, everything. And normally you would have gone back to comfort, but because you understood where you were at, what was happening, it empowered you and propelled you to move further forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So important. It's so powerful.
Mm.
Okay. So we just earlier we talked about you moving into lesson 4 because of Gillian's work. And as a therapist, a lot of this, can be, what's the word? Can cross over
Yes.
at Gillian's discretion, but she's just started a brand new lesson, our 4th module.
Yeah.
But the question for today is which lesson has been your favorite, if you can answer that today?
It is hard because every time I start a new lesson, I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. But I have to say, as again, I thought about this, and I'm sure, Bob in his brilliance has structured it this way, that lesson 1 is one I go back to all the time. And I'm continually to figure out what the heck I wanted. I don't know. Like that was so hard. And to get through all of the shoulds and all of the but what about and oh but I can't and what will they think about it? Like all of the noise to allow myself to really truly say no, I actually want that, or I want to be this, or and I've seen that show up in my life. But that lesson is definitely one I've come back to, even in I'm like only at lesson 4, which is fine for all of you that are doing this. It isn't be like, oh, check. It's not a checkbox.
Yeah.
It's layers and layers and layers. And so even just last week, I'm working on action and taking action and doing all the things. And then I was like, I don't think this goal is actually the one I'm wanting to, so back to lesson 1. So absolutely for me, I think that is the foundation. And I'm sure, and that's why it was put together this way, because if I don't know what I'm standing on, then I don't know where I'm going.
No.
There's nothing solid, and it will change and evolve. I think that's the other beautiful thing about this work, is that as we evolve in the work and our, again, the language that we're using, those vibrations and frequencies start to shift and evolve, then our vision becomes wider. And oh, I didn't even know I wanted that. But there you are.
Yeah.
Okay, back to lesson 1.
Yeah.
Rewriting goals, worthy goals, here we come. And it's
Yeah.
amazing the gift of that.
Yeah.
And not to think it somehow, being a big learner, I love to learn, I'm a lifelong learner, that somehow, oh, I have to go back to lesson 1. Am I like not smart? Or it's like, no, it's just not that.
Mhm.
It's no, I'm actually noticing enough to know that I need to go back. What a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
because things are growing and changing and becoming more.
Yeah.
So
I love how
that's
you articulate all of this. Um, lesson 1, it's the first step, it's the beginning, and we start to live our life from what do I want instead of fighting the existing reality. We're
yeah.
constantly building a new model that makes that old model, old life, old results obsolete. And I love that. And every time we go back to lesson 1, we're not the same person. We're not from the same level of consciousness, awareness. Like we're not the same. And so every time we go back, it's not because we're slow learners. Like I, for a long time, thought, here I go back to, oh, there's something wrong with me. Like I'm not good enough because I keep having to go back and redo this lesson. No, it's because I was a new person each time. And that's
Yeah.
what you're experiencing. And you use those lessons every time
Mm. Yeah.
about everything and anything, small, big.
And I think as the layers of the paradigms start to shift,
Yeah.
and then there is more freedom, like you said, to want more and to allow it. And it's just pretty incredible
Yeah.
to notice that. Even I've started to notice that physically in my body. Like I can feel now when something's not resonating, as opposed to it just being a logical thing I should do, or
Yeah.
this just makes sense. It's like, nope, nope,
Yeah.
not
Once
good enough.
again,
Or
yep. And once again, this is why it's so different because you can't undo awareness, right? Intellect and awareness, two completely different ways of going about life and ourselves. And this is awareness. Like you can't undo it. Your awareness as it goes up, in levels, we'll call it, you can't undo that. And you just be so much more aware. And we talk about clarity and we talk about aha moments. And And that's all part of the process, is us raising our level of consciousness. And something else, Jillian, that has been a part of your journey has been not only what you do want, but also saying no to what you don't want and figuring that out.
My gosh, that has been huge for me. And letting go of things, saying no to clients that
Yeah,
in the past it would be like, but I'm a therapist, I'm a healer, I must help everyone. No, not
yeah,
anymore, because I'm also doing a disservice to those people. If I'm not in alignment with my true purpose, nope. And then setting boundaries with people that in my life previously would not have been able to do, as far as, no, I have this is my focus. This is what I'm doing. That is not part of this. Therefore, no. So, it's kind of that whole idea of saying yes to what you want and no to everything else. And I never would have been able to do that before, and I'm feeling so empowered every time I do that, and so more and more and more congruent, so aligned. And it's such a deeper level than just, again, a knowing. And
yeah,
that's been very powerful as well. And it just propels me then to be growing more and feeling the freedom of that, and just the energy of that, like
yeah,
how incredibly wonderful that feels to say no and not go into, I shouldn't,
yeah.
all of that, ugh, and
Ah,
just, oh, it's wonderful.
it's total freedom, right? Everybody wants freedom, but what they want is freedom away from something that's holding them back, doesn't feel good, whatever that is. And that's confidence. Like, this is what we wish for everybody, is to get this level of confidence, to know who you are, why you're here, what you want, and then be at peace with that because you're aligned.
Yeah.
And recovered people pleaser as well. If we were to say no to someone, oh my gosh, like, we would hurt their feelings. They wouldn't like us. They're not going to like if we say no. I might as well just say yes and go along with it, because that just don't rock the boat. All
Mhm.
of those, past programmings come up. But for us to say, you know what, no, thank you. I'm not taking that direction right now. And you also said it empowered and freed the person you said no to as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's beautiful. When we improve us, everything in our world improves.
Yeah. No doubt.
Okay, so lesson one, right today anyways, is your favorite lesson. I'm the same. I can't. Like, I suppose if I could only have one lesson, I don't know, even that changes day by day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's go to, we talked about your confidence, you talked about changing your behavior, we talked about you hitting your goals and then moving forward from that instead of retreating back, saying, I'm not worth it, this is not going to stick. Um, How would you summarize the changes that you've experienced, whether within yourself, your life, your results? And
Mhm.
what's the biggest that you've noticed so far?
I would say the biggest is hope. I feel so much hope and possibility in spite of circumstances.
Oh,
That would not have been true for me 3 months ago. Uh,
wow.
that circumstances definitely, I've been through quite a lot in the last few years. My husband and I had to sell our house, like COVID, all of that stuff. And it was very much dictating my potential vision for my future. It was like, oh, I just got to survive. I just got to figure out how to get through whatever. And the circumstances actually haven't changed. I mean, but I've changed. And
Yeah,
so the possibilities just feel so endless, and not in a Pollyanna unicorn and rainbows kind of way.
yeah.
Like, it feels in me. It feels solid. It feels in my core. And so there is this happiness. Like, I wake up happy. And I remember when I started this process, that was one of the things I wanted, was I want to wake up in the morning and feel joy. I want to wake up in the morning and feel excited about my day, as opposed to waking up and another day I got to get through. And I do now. And it doesn't mean that every day is perfect and I don't have my off days. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that that's not true, but there's just so much out there. And the more I learn and the more I'm in this space and in this frequency and this, all of those things, the more I just see, yeah, yeah, it's not here yet, but it's coming. And I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And just, but do wake up. like early in the morning now. I can't get up early enough. And so
Wow.
just so much more um, in myself. And then that is producing more success in my work and in my business and my relationships and everything around me. It's attracting, we talk about it. It all sounds a bit cliche after a while, but it's really true. It's like it
Yeah.
really does happen.
Yeah.
The opportunities and things that are coming my way, the way that I can say yes to things now, even though maybe the circumstances around me might say otherwise. There's just this knowing, there's a deeper knowing within me that was just not there before.
And exactly. And that's at the end of the day, we may not be able to like describe it at the time, but that's what we're all looking for. We just want to feel
Yeah.
better. We
Yeah.
want to have confidence. We want to be happy, but real, true confidence, happiness in our own selves, in our own ability,
Yeah.
in our own potential and power, and be free of thinking from circumstances and truly think from the inside out, which if we don't understand ourselves, we don't even know we have that ability, let alone do we practice
Yeah.
and execute that way of
Mm.
living.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's what everybody wants, right? And when you say hope, I'm always reminded of this quote that I read not too long ago and said, if there's hope for the future, there's power in the present.
Mm.
And
That's
it's that goes way beyond just a cute quote that makes us feel fuzzy, right? If there's hope in the future, there's power in this moment because we're thinking about what could be, not where we're at, where we
good.
are.
No, and I think that's a lot of the power of this work is that, again, it's not just cognitive. So, we're starting to understand we are spirit, that we are in a body, but we have infinite potential and we're connected to infinite possibility. And that can sound really confusing for some people at first, if that's not part of your verbiage or your understanding. It can be uncomfortable, it can challenge beliefs and all kinds of things. But
Right.
when you start moving in it, it's just true. It's
It's
just
just
the
true.
big, it's just true.
And when
And
you hear the truth, you know it, you feel it,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
I literally have this argument with my 12-year-old. And it drives me crazy because he's, from their perspective and the conditioning that they're getting, no, I am this body. Like, no, your spirit. No, I'm not. I'm Coulter. No, you're
Yeah,
not.
just ask Bob. No, you're not.
Yeah. Okay, well, we talked about, I think one of the last questions is, what are you excited about the most for your future? Um, But looking into the future, like what is different on how you see the future now than how you saw it before?
It's just so much more expansive. I think before I saw, okay, here's what we have. It was very much a holding on to, I think is a good way to put it. I was
Mm.
holding on to resources were limited. I need to be really careful with them, all of those kinds of things. But it was like this, and now it feels open and there's possibility, and I'm not limited by what I might have in this kind of here and now realm. There's more coming. And so I think it's just, yeah, this expansiveness
Yeah,
that
I,
wasn't there before, just was not there before.
I
Yeah.
love that. I
Mm.
love that because it's so true. We
Yeah.
think we're so limited. We think that there's a lack of resources. We have all these wrong thoughts, right? And then to go from limit to expansive, that's exactly the shift that happens, but it happens in here. It happens on a subconscious, spiritual, emotional level, not a logical, intellectual level,
Mm.
but within that deeper part of our personality. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. That is so good. So
Mhm.
good. What is a piece of wisdom that you can share today? Um, that
Mm.
you would say to your old self or someone that's feeling stuck and wants what you have, right? They want that. What's the piece of wisdom you can give them?
Well, I would say it's possible, and the answers are in here, and they're not up here. And don't give up. Just
Mm.
really keep one step in front of the other. Stay connected to people who are like you on this same journey. push away the things that are dragging you down with love, but just start to say no, but find out what you want, really figure it out, but go in here to find it
Yeah.
and don't take your eye off the prize.
Right.
Do
Don't, right?
the work, but do it here first.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a life worth living, is that truly is expanding ourselves, figuring out who we are, what we truly want, and then becoming the person. And
Yeah.
like you said, finding your purpose, right? When we don't, when we're off purpose, everything is off course. Doesn't feel good. It's hard. When we're
Yeah.
on purpose,
Yeah.
everything is on
Yeah.
track. Yeah.
And I think to add to that, just one last thought is also the whole area of vulnerability. Like be willing to be vulnerable
Yeah.
with yourself and others that are going to be a resource for you and not use that, in a negative way. But we need, I've had to really be pretty vulnerable in this
Yeah.
process of I'm falling apart right now. And there was a time I wouldn't have been okay with that, especially with people like you or others that I really respect. And, you know, but there's such freedom in that too. And also the surprise, guess what? Me too. So, like we're not, where everybody else hasn't arrived. And I think that that's a lie that sometimes I've believed, and that
Okay.
it's easy to believe that I'm the one who just doesn't get it.
Got it.
But when we can get vulnerable, when I've gotten vulnerable and said, taken that risk, it's usually met with, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Let's figure this out together.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And that is hard. It is really hard for a lot of people, myself included, to
Okay.
be vulnerable in that way that, um, I'm not, always strong, or I don't always have it put
Yeah.
together. And I've lived so long trying to keep that facade up that it was literally destroying me, and I was destroying me. And I know you and a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah, this is definitely a worthy journey.
Mhm. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I am honored. Like, I love that you said yes,
Mhm.
and that you're here and that you're doing the work and that you're experiencing the results and the shifts and the change, but really just feeling better about yourself, more confidence. I mean, you can't buy that. You can't
No,
find that in a strategy. You can't buy that from Amazon or
no,
anywhere. You've got to develop it from within.
absolutely. Yeah.
I love
Sure.
it. So
Yeah.
happy for you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Crystal.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Gillian. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll make sure that we have a replay link to access this because it was so good, so valuable. Thank you so much, Gillian, for just
it. Sure.
being you and being here and showing up for you in this way. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great
Okay, we'll
day.
chat soon. Bye, everyone.